Hi, coaches. I'm so excited to bring a special guest to you tonight. This is Chris and my husband. And I am bringing him on this recording tonight because I wanted to talk to you and your spouses about how we've built this business together, really with a partnership. But it didn't always start out like that, or it didn't start out like that, I should say. And we've kind of come a long way with this business and with kind of being on the same page with it. So I just wanted to be honest with you and share how we kind of got started with it. So I've been a coach for 3.5 years, and I signed up to be a coach after being in an accountability group. Actually, Chris wasn't in the accountability group, but he was sort of, participating on the sidelines, definitely drinking Shakeology. Remember that? Yeah. And we were both really cynical about the product at first, but it was funny, we'd compare notes in the morning, like, did you sleep better last night? Because I think I did. And like, I had so much energy yesterday. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah.
So it was really nice that we were both drinking it starting at the same time, and just experiencing those results together. So anyway, he was kind of going through that with me and experienced the product. Then he went to China for a part of his master's program for 10 days. And while he was gone, I signed up to be a discount coach. So that's how we got started. It wasn't a planned thing. I don't think I'd even talked to you about that possibility. Had I?
No, I remember getting a phone call in China when there was a lot going on, and I'd heard that when you said that you had signed up as a coach, and I was a little bit preoccupied, but sort of in the back of my mind, I'm going, what are we getting ourselves into here? And I wasn't really sure about it.
Yeah, you were kind of like, okay, that's great. Okay, we'll talk more about this later.
But I remember how excited you were about it, and you just had a lot of energy, and so that was exciting.
Yeah. So I signed up when my youngest was 5 months old, and I had a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so many of you guys know my story, where I started working the business really only about 5 hours a week. I worked a little bit at night when they went to bed, and then in the cracks of my day, like nap time, because that's when they were all napping together if I was lucky. So I didn't spend a ton of time on it at first. And so that wasn't really a big issue for us. Chris was never, I don't think, threatened by the amount of time I was spending on it, because it was really almost negligible at first. It was just kind of time at night when we would both crash on the couch that I'd get out my computer for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I was always the skeptical, practical one, I think, in this scenario. So for me, it was just sort of sitting back and watching how the business grew incrementally. It really wasn't a lot of risk at the beginning, so I was okay with it. And it was, well, basically, let's see how this works, because I was already familiar with the product. So I had done Insanity probably about a year before you started coaching.
Yeah.
And so I knew what it was. I knew about the company a little bit. So I think that helped, but really it was just the incremental nature of it. It was kind of a minimal upfront, as you go type of an investment. And I really felt like, that grew into the next phase, which was going to a conference and
Vegas, my first summit.
And so it just seemed like the business grew very reasonably, and you could see the results as time went along. But there was never one major point of contention or point of inflection where I felt like it was, I don't really like where this is going.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did go really kind of slow, like putting, a lobster in a pot of boiling water and then turning on the water. It raises the temperature without you even noticing. We just started so slow that it wasn't like a big shock to our lifestyle. And I think, that might be a key that we'd like to pass on to you, is that, if this is important to you, coaches, but your spouse isn't entirely on board, don't go from 0 to, 360 overnight. You kind of have to show them the benefits of it, and get them to believe, just like we did, as clients and then coaches. Like we didn't just, most of us didn't just jump in and say, yeah, I'm going to go to the top. We had to be, convinced of that, whether it's at an event or a phone call or just over time. I think that's what happened for me. It was just over time. And so we have to expect, or give our spouses the same consideration. They're not even in it as much as us. So for us to just like drop this, hey, I want to do this and I want to go all the way with it. Like, whoa, we need to give them that consideration.
Being the cynic in this, and probably in our entire relationship, I feel like Katie has always set really reasonable goals, and I've tried to help with that. I mean, I've tried to help just sort of troubleshoot your goals and make sure that they make sense, because
like
if you go in and go, oh, I'm gonna make $1 million. I mean, there's a process by which you get to that level, and I think that you've exceeded a lot of the goals and expectations that I've had through this program. And more than that, it's just the energy that you have and the excitement that goes along with it. I think that it's become a lifestyle change for our family. And we all sort of feed off of that energy. But that was the first sign that I was looking for, was that you were going to say, I'm burned out with this, or I don't want to do this anymore. And 3 years later, I've never seen that. I really feel like you've been very consistent and measured, and just really excited about it.
Yeah, I thank you. I do remember after 6 or 7 or 8 months, Chris being like, I kind of thought you would quit this, because I tend to be like a dreamer and I want to try everything, and I don't want to call myself a quitter, but I mean, I've quit several things in the past because I just kind of take on everything. So I remember when he said, I really kind of thought you'd quit by now. The fact that you haven't, says a lot to me about what you're doing. I thought that was a really big step in the process of just onboarding him into, being as big of a believer as I was in the company and the opportunity. But so after Summit, when I came back, my first Summit, I had been a coach for a year, and I came back, and we financed the trip out of our account. It didn't get paid for out of our business account, my business account yet. We weren't making that much yet. But when I came back, I mean, that's when that ignited my business. That was when I was like, Chris, I'm going to tell you what I learned, and I want to share with you all the stuff that I gained from Summit. And I had a fire, and he saw that. And I mean, really, you've been on board since then for sure, don't you think?
Yeah, I think knowing at that point, it's like, well, we're this far in,
right?
Let's see what can happen.
Right.
And I think it's been our mantra ever since, just to outlast. I mean, just keep going, and you're going to find success in being able to do that. And it can be a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, there's times where you feel like you're up and times when you feel like you're down. So I just try to be there in between and not let you get too high and low.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for Chris in all aspects, but in this business, I mean, he is really my partner in this. I run the business. He is a coach, by the way.
That's right.
He was an Emerald coach at one point, but he's been slacking. So
I'm really awesome.
he's a coach now. But he, not only is he a coach on my team, but he offers me advice and counsel anytime I have questions. I'm talking, when I want to talk through something, he listens. He offers suggestions. He's more of the details person, and the like we said earlier, the kind of facts and figures, and I'm more like up here with the big picture. And so it works really well because, I mean, we complement each other in our marriage, so we kind of bring those same traits to this. And I think by giving Chris a partnership in this, and letting him know and feel and experience that I can't do this really without his support, I think it's really helped keep you in the game and keep you on my team, on my team, so to speak. And then another thing I wanted to mention is let's see, how many trips have we been on? We've been on 2.
We've been on 2 plus
the one
Summit.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. He went to Summit last year. Yeah, so 3, and then we're registered for this next one. So Chris went with me to Cancun in 2015.
Right.
And that was his first Beachbody event. And I felt so proud bringing him there and letting him experience the company firsthand. He got to go to the workouts with me. He got to go to the Shakeology bar with me. He got to hear some of our corporate speak and see them out and about and just get a feel for the company. And what, do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, the exotic trips help a lot as far as buy-in goes. So more of those are better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, I think that's awesome. I mean, at this point, we're looking forward to them every year.
Right, it's like part of our vacation plan.
Right, and so I think that's really helped not only the business, but it helps our relationship because it really intertwines. I mean, I feel invested.
That's the word I've been looking for. Yes, you're invested. You're part of the company.
I want to go on these trips.
That's right.
So I got to be invested.
That's right. And he knows, he's real smart, and he knows that the more he's supportive of me and not kind of pushing and pulling with it, the better I can do my job. And let's talk some specifics. Do you have more things you want to say that I didn't cover?
Just long-term planning. I don't know what the next year or 5 years brings with this business, but I think that the health and the strength of the company and the reasons that a lot of the coaches are in this business is for the right reason. And so from a long-term perspective, I think the future is bright, but I also think that the lasting elements of this for our family and our health is the most exciting part, because I think those are lessons we'll take for a really long time.
Wow, yeah, that was really well said. It's so true. I mean, we're petting a dog right here, just so you know. It's just a little too short here. Yeah, I mean, you guys have experienced this too. Just the transformation in our whole entire family's health. Like, I love reliving where we've come. We just went to Chicago today. We just came back a few minutes ago, and the kids are in bed, and we ate like crap all day just because we were in Chicago and it was convenient and whatever. And Wrigley, what can I say? We're so tired right now and just dragging. And what did we say? We were in a pizza fog on the way home. And, we used to live like that all the time. And we were perpetually tired all the time. But we just thought that was because we were grown-ups, and didn't realize that we didn't have to feel that way. And so it feels like we've emerged out of a cocoon. Is that what you were thinking?
That's it. Yeah, I'm just going to say that.
So, it feels like that to me, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but it feels like we were kind of sleeping, and we've awakened, and now we're living our lives to the full potential of our health, at least at this point. So, that, you're right. Like, that's the biggest part of this business, really. Okay, so we have some tips for those of you that like action items to follow. First of all, coaches, I'm talking to you, help educate your spouse about the company. Remember how you didn't know anything about Beachbody likely when you became a client. I certainly didn't. I'd never heard of it ever. I'd heard of Insanity, but I've never heard of Beachbody or the coaching opportunity. So let them get to know it, share some videos, bring them to, that's the next one. let's see, how else can you educate them about Beachbody? I mean, talk to them, just sit down at night and when you're having a drink together, tell them about how the company started in 2007 from, these message boards. And if you don't know the history of our company, ask me and I'll let you know. It's really cool. I mean, it started really organically, and just take pride in how we got started and what we're doing, and share that information with your spouse because they might not know. We didn't know, right?
I just, ask questions, get buy-in. It's like anything else. If you come home and say, how was your day today? And oh, it was good, and you don't give any specifics or any details, then, the conversation is never going to go any further. So make it a conversation.
Yeah, that's great. Number 2, get your spouse to attend an event with you. So not everybody can go on the trips. I mean, we all can, but they're few and far between, right? If you can get them on a trip, that's my top. Summit, Chris went to Summit last year, and he didn't buy a ticket to Summit. So he golfed with a friend's husband, and they had like a great time. I mean, you have a really good memory of that trip because of that golfing.
Yeah.
Like, we hardly saw each other, but it was perfect actually because I was busy the whole time. I mean, if you've been to Summit, you don't have time to like even eat, let alone like go on dates really. So he was with his friend the whole time. But then we were able to hang out in the evenings a little bit with the other coaches. And then you did go to one of the closing ceremony or the opening ceremony where I walked across the stage. And I just think it's really cool that he was able to go. It's kind of like me attending his company holiday party. I go to his events. Like, it's great for him to come to mine, and so that we can share in that, ownership of what we're doing.
Well said.
Okay. Another one, Summit, the trips, but also Super Saturdays. You guys, these are open to everyone, and they're all over. The big ones are in Chicago and Indy and St. Louis, or if you're not in Central Illinois, you can find the local Super Saturdays in your online office. But some of them are smaller. Like the last one we had in the Central Illinois area was at Lindy's house in Mahomet. So that might be a little weird to bring your spouse to, but there are bigger events where they have the celebrity trainers and people from corporate and really, really big messages. So if you're serious about onboarding your spouse into your business and getting them to experience the transformation stories of these people that go and they talk at Super Saturday, and just to feel lifted up by the power of that, get them to an event. I mean, I was just telling you today that my number one goal with my coaches is to get them to a live event. It's just magic. So I want everybody to get there, and I think our spouses should get something too. So make it a priority. And they might roll their eyes at you when you say, hey, I really want you to go to the Super Saturday. But you say, it would mean a lot to me if you went with me this weekend, and there's a free workout, and afterwards I'll take you to dinner, or I'll get a babysitter, or then the very next day you can golf all day if you want. Like, do what you need to do to get them there. You can negotiate a little bit.
Let me write that down.
See, we play that game. That's okay. Okay, let's see. Number 3, get them involved. And this is something that I feel like I'm good at doing naturally, just because I really love your opinion and I just value your wisdom. And I mean, he's in business, and he has his degree in business, and I have no experience in business whatsoever, except for this. So, I mean, I really trust you and your guidance, and I appreciate his advice. Now, your spouse might not be in business. That's okay. You still trust your spouse. You have a certain amount of trust in them, and they have strengths that you don't have. Use those strengths to help you and help your business too. So when I get Chris involved, this is when I ask him questions. At the beginning, when I decided I was going for this, I sat down and I shared with him why this was important to me or what I thought I could do with it. We dream, together. We talk about what we can do with the income, what we can do with the freedom of our schedules. We talk about the future together. And so maybe that's something you already do in your relationship, or maybe it's not. But I recommend doing it with the business. I think it's really important. And that might look like, hey, I want to talk to you a little bit tonight. Sitting down, turning off the TV. That's important. Having the kids in bed, and just saying, I want to share with you a little bit about Beachbody and why I'm doing this and why it's important to me. Does that sound hokey?
It sounds like something that happens a lot.
Yeah, we do. I mean, poor Chris. Like when we first met, he was not a big communicator, and you probably can tell that I am. So he's kind of come out of his shell a little, and he's like brought me down a little bit, and so we balance each other out. But yeah, I think that's been really important for me to consult you and talk to you about it. I mean, it's just communication. I'm communicating why I want to do this. He communicates his, questions and concerns and his ideas, and it's a partnership.
Yeah, I don't think she needs me nearly as much as she lets on, but I do notice patterns and trends and themes over time just in the comments that she makes. So I feel like that's where I can add the most value, is just to say, I've heard this over and over again. What are you going to do about it? And we get to a point of reality check sometime. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's just all very positive, and you do a great job with it.
Thank you. I mean, it's like what we do for our spouses at their job. I mean, it's just funny because when we think about this business, I think we think of it like not a job or something, but it's the same thing. It's like, if he's having an issue at work, we troubleshoot it. He'll tell me the problem, and then we'll talk about solutions. I mean, it's the same thing. So I guess maybe we should add this to our list, is that we need to really think of this business as like a legit job, and maybe explaining that to our spouse. I don't know if that's the right way, but explaining to them that this is work. Like, I'm doing this because I have an outcome that I want to reach, and I have goals for our family. But thinking about it instead of like a hobby, but as an income producing job, maybe that makes a difference.
I think it does.
Okay. Number 4, share the products with them. If you're not doing this, you've got to do this. They've got to be believers. I mean, it's hard to get them on board if they're not experiencing the benefits. So, Chris, I mean, do you have a blender at work still?
No.
Just to shake her cup. So he has his own Shakeology packets at work. He has his own favorite flavors. We have Energize for him. We share the Shakeology boosts, all the programs we've done together. What else do we have? Oh, the performance line. I mean, whenever a new product comes out and I want to try it, of course, I'm going to have him try it with me.
Yep. I love Energize. That's one of my favorite products. Take it before workouts. Take it before I play golf. And Shakeology, I think, has been great. Again, I go back to the beginning. I was pretty skeptical. I didn't like the taste of it at first, but now it's part of my life. I mean, it's part of the routine. It's part of what I do every day.
Mm-hmm. All right. And number 5, ask them for help. Going to your spouse and saying, listen, I really could use your help with this business. I know I can do this, but I really can do it faster with your help. I have so many clients that work with Chris. I mean, he's always passing my name off to people he meets. He's sold Shakeology for me. He's taken samples to work. I mean, I get a lot of referrals from him. So don't be afraid to ask your spouse for referrals. Maybe that one seems obvious, but I think that we need to remember that they can't read our minds. So, we can't assume that they know that we need their help and their support. And we just need to be very communicative about, is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. about what we need from them and what our goals are with this. I think that's just important, just like, we've alluded to this and talked about this throughout this call, but like in your marriage, it's important to communicate about things. It's the same with this, right?
Right.
Okay. So do you want to summarize, or do you have any closing thoughts for our coaches with spouses that are maybe like, I'm not really sure about this?
Yeah, just give it a try. I mean, it's one of, I think Katie should approach this business in a certain way, and she has her own process and her own level of comfort and her own way of doing things, which is clearly better than mine. But I always think about it from either as a participant or as a business, as just thinking it's not a huge investment. I mean, there's not inventory laying all over the house. There's not pressure. There's not major time or cost resources. So I look at the time that you put into the business as your time, and that's how you want to be spending your time. So it's like it's a hobby for you, but it's a great income for us, and all of the side benefits have been great for our family. So I hope it continues for a really long time.
Will you talk real quick about the time that I spend? That was the one thing that I forgot to say.
As far as like number of hours?
Yeah, and like how we work through that.
Yeah, there have been times where you've worked through like charts and you've actually charted the number of hours that you spend on it. And I think what you've determined is you're not really spending a lot more time than you thought you were spending on it.
15 to 20 hours a week for me.
A lot of it fits into the cracks of the day. So it's things that, you could be on your phone playing Pokemon or something else, but you're responding to somebody, or you're reaching out to somebody, or you're providing help. I guess my last comments would just be, I can't tell you how many people I run into in the community, some of them that I don't even know, that come up to me and talk about you. And just, I love seeing Katie on Facebook, and she's so positive, and she's so, and I'm like, who are you again? I don't know who you are. But it's always so refreshing. I mean, I've probably heard it hundreds of times, and I really think that it just creates such a good positive association. There's just really not a lot of negative side effect to being all in this business.
Thank you for saying that. So is there ever a time when you feel like annoyed by the amount of times I'm working? Because you guys know with this business, a lot of times, many of you have full-time jobs, or if you're a stay-at-home mom like me, you have kids to watch during the day and like to do. So you can't be on your computer all day, every day. So you're fitting in your hours in those cracks, which are often in the evening when you also have time to spend with your spouse. So can you talk about that?
You mean annoyed other than right now? Are these things always this long? I'm exhausted right now.
We're almost done.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is. Is anybody still watching?
Nobody's on this, babe. It's being recorded for later.
Are you going to edit it down to like
no
an hour and a half?
No, stop it.
Okay.
You guys are good with it, right?
So yeah, it gets annoying sometimes, and that's when I come in and say, "You're almost done. What are you working on?" Sometimes, since the business is on Facebook a lot or on social media, I'll make a comment. I'll slide in a comment every once in a while, like, "Are you just surfing right now? Or are you actually doing something that's intentional?" Because I think that's one of the traps of the business, is that you're on social media, so you feel like the time that you're spending on social media is work time.
Right. You have to be careful.
If I'm getting slightly annoyed about it, those are the types of comments that I'll make, and I think you know what I'm getting at, and you're really good about just sort of closing it up and moving on.
It feels to me, it doesn't feel any different than like when Chris is on his phone checking emails for work. It's like, okay, we both have stuff we have to do, and then after a while, if we're just sitting on the couch on our phones, usually one of us is like, okay, it's time to put these away for a little bit, and then we do it. But it doesn't seem to be like some massive imbalance of like I'm always on my phone and he's always waiting, to talk to me or anything. Like he kind of occupies his time while I'm finishing things up, and then we meet when we're done. But we do, I mean, and this is more me than Chris. He goes along with it, but I mean, I make sure that I'm not working late every night of the week, because that's just not good quality time. So I am sure to build in our schedule at least 2 or 3 nights. Well, at least 2 nights, Monday through Friday, where we have like where I don't have a call or I'm not on my laptop. That doesn't mean I'm not checking in real quick, like after the kids go to bed or right after dinner or something. But I'm not just sitting on the couch on my computer. And we're like watching a show or, having a drink or working out or whatever, at least 2 nights a week. And then the weekends I don't work a ton on the weekends.
It probably helps that you're the one in our relationship that's more in tune with the relationship. I mean, that's probably pretty common in relationships, but everybody's probably not that way.
No, I don't think so.
And you're sort of the one in our relationship that you'll offer and say, I know it's been 3 or 4 nights in a row, and I'll be like, oh yeah, it has. Like, you better do something about it.
He's like, I was really enjoying this game.
but I feel like because you're so aware of it, then it helps create that balance. It could be opposite in other relationships where you just have to ask for it.
Right.
Because I think when my schedule gets a little bit crazy, you're still the one that has to say, your schedule's been a little bit crazy recently, and you kind of bring us back to balance.
Right. So if you're the one in the relationship that, if you're not the one in the relationship that kind of keeps tabs on that, and you tend to maybe not know when you're working too much, maybe just have a conversation with your spouse and say, hey, look, can you just, I'm not very good at self-regulating my work time, and I'd love for you to kind of let me know when it's too much, or come up with a system, or just set days, set evenings that you're just not working, and that's okay. Your people will wait, that 24 hours. Okay. I know Chris is ready to be done, and you guys are probably ready to stop watching. So my final, my big takeaway for you is that it is a process, and I know this business is not typical. It's unique, and that can be scary, and especially for our spouses who haven't been in it from the beginning, haven't experienced this big transformation, haven't felt the power of the group events and the benefits of being around other people like you. They just don't have that connection to it yet. Be patient with them and help them by warming up the pot of water slowly by some of the things we talked about, and having a really open line of communication. I think communication can solve like the whole world's problems. So just be honest and open with them, and give them a little bit of time to adjust. You guys feel free to send me or Chris questions. I'm sure he'd be happy to consult spouses on Beachbody spouse information. And thanks so much for watching. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, honey.
Bye.